So in the book, Get to Aha, Ms. Cunningham shares several lessons and key ideas to help build on her company DNA structure and the company genotypes. So first, she really looks at yin and yang. Yin and yang is a Chinese philosophy about the whole being greater than the sum of two parts. In the book, yin is the logic, yang is the emotion. So you need to have both yin and yang for maximum impact. In marketing, yin is your positioning, while yang is your branding. To be successful, you must always start with yin to see where your company is positioned logically. Knowing your yin allows you to create hard-hitting emotional branding, which is your yang. To help clarify yin and yang, Ms. Cunningham uses an example of Star Trek. Spock is logical, while Kirk is emotional. The two work together great, and they're much more successful as a team than they would be individually. You need both the logic and you need the emotion, and you got to have a good balance of both to be successful. So this philosophy helps you to reach that. A second key lesson that's in this book is really from a survey that she did with 100 CEOs. She found that over 66% were not happy with their current branding and feel that it is not working. And they find that the main issue is getting buy-in from everybody on their team. That is why getting your positioning right is so important. People will not buy in unless everything lines up with who you are and why you matter. She provides the following example to help us understand the importance of positioning before branding. It's like you're coloring the picture before it's been outlined. You're jumping the gun. The third lesson is positioning is as much about sacrifice as it is about differentiation. Most people want their product or service to be everything to everyone. You need to learn to sacrifice the extra stuff until you're ready to share it. Ms. Cunningham shares a great analogy and example of the reason you must sacrifice for maximum impact. She uses an iceberg as an analogy. Like an iceberg, you only share the most important information. Everything else still remains below the surface. Now, a great example that she provided in the book was Amazon. When they launched in 1994, Jeff Bezos did not state his future vision. He was only focused on becoming the online Barnes & Nobles. In his mind, he wanted to be more, but he kept that below the surface. After 3 years, and after he built the foundation, which was the books, Jeff Bezos showed more of the iceberg. Jeff Bezos said, "Our goal is to move quickly to solidify and extend our current position while we begin to pursue the online commerce opportunities in other areas." So things other than books. And we know where that's gone, since there. If he said in 1994, though, that he wanted to become one of the world's largest retailers, at that point, it would have hurt Amazon's credibility. There was not enough evidence that the internet would be as big as it is now. Now, he's proved the ability of Amazon by focusing on only one market to start. And if you look now, he still is picking one market off at a time. This year they're going to be looking at pharmacies. They're looking at, let's master this market, let's master that market. And he continues to bring more in and to compete with Walmart and everybody else. So the next lesson that we have here in the book was connecting the dots. And just real quick, it's interview all key stakeholders, both internally and externally, to understand the business trajectory, market dynamics, differentiation, customer values, company values, and personality. These all feed into positioning. The next lesson, less is more. So here's something that, it's kind of interesting, and a lot of companies don't follow this. Limiting choice is a key to positioning success. People always think unlimited choices are appealing, but in reality, too many choices cause analysis paralysis. Dr. Barry Schwartz states an overload of options can cause an increase in anxiety, wasted time, and even depression. In the book, Ms. Cunningham references the JAM study. The study showed individuals in a store aisle were 10 times more likely to buy a jar of jam when they reduced the selection. So people who were only shown 6 types of jam were 10 times more likely to buy a jar than the original offering when there were 24 of them in front of them. The study has been duplicated in other industries and all show similar results. In addition, the test showed that people are happier with their purchase when they select from fewer options. Companies need to avoid trying to be all things to all people. Great positioning is about sacrifice. The next lesson is disruptive innovation. Ms. Cunningham references the book The Innovator's Dilemma by Clayton Christian. Disruptive innovation is when an organization transforms an existing market or sector by making things simpler, more convenient, less expensive, or increasing product availability. Usually these companies start out being dismissed by industry leaders because their product is not as good. But over time, they get better and better, and before everyone realizes it, they are forces to be reckoned with. Now, examples in the book are community colleges, discount retailers, urgent care centers, cell phones. In my industry, we look at imported cabinets. They started the same way. People discounted their ability to compete, but in less than 10 years, they have gained large chunks of market share. The next lesson, good artists copy, great artists steal. Now, this is a quote from Steve Jobs, but definitely an important lesson. So what she states in here is that many of the industries were started by companies who fail or have very limited success because later players, the second, third, fourth, 10th company into the industry, figure out how to make a category successful. These companies steal the best ideas from the companies at the bleeding edge and make it better than they originally were. These are the companies who are often remembered as founding an industry, even though they really weren't. Another lesson that's in the book is capitalizing on other companies' success. And really what she says is if you can tie yourself to a larger company, so say you're the McDonald's or Uber of that industry, she points out how powerful it can be to tie your name with an industry leader in another category. It helps your salespeople and prospects to understand how you fit into a market. They know what that company represents. This technique is often used in Hollywood. It's like pitching the movie Days of Thunder as the same as Top Gun, but only in NASCAR. It helps the producers get to aha quicker. It helps them get it. The next lesson is choosing a category because it's who you are as a company, not because it's exciting. An example in the book is how Amazon chose to compete against booksellers Barnes & Noble and Borders, both brick and mortar locations, and how Jeff Bezos felt it would be easier to disrupt within a known category. So the next area we're going to talk about is messaging architecture, developing your positioning statement and message frequency. Some really big ideas from the book Get the Aha. So when we're talking about developing your positioning statement, who you are and why you matter is a key point. This step comes after you've completed all of the other exercises found in the book. You have identified your DNA, your genotype, understand where your company fits into the 6 C's: core, category, community, competition, context, and criteria. In this section of the book, she uses several companies as examples and tells their elevator speeches and the pros and cons of their message. These comparisons are very helpful to anyone that buys and studies the book. Positioning statements pinpoint a company's role or standing in an industry. Additionally, it highlights the category you intend to control. The book also provides a fill-in-the-blank positioning statement to help you build the framework for your own positioning statement. After you draft your positioning statement, there are questions in the book to help ensure you have included everything you need. So the next in your messaging framework that you need to think about is message frequency. And the book examines the marketing rule of 7, which was developed in Hollywood during the 1930s. The rule states that someone must hear or see a message at least 7 times before they will consider action towards a purchase. The book discusses both message channels available to a company. They include owned channels, such as a website, blogs, newsletters, social media. They are also earned channels, which is PR and analyst reactions. There is a third channel, which is paid channel. What's key is all your messages need to sound the same no matter the channel. You need to build a cumulative effect discussed in the rule of 7. Consider this framework when developing your messaging. What's your target market? What's your differentiator? The category you're in, your value proposition, your positioning statement, key messages, elevator speech, brand archetype, brand personality, brand driver, and what's your narrative? So you really need to consider all of those and make sure that it all lines up. The book also goes into detail about the steps needed to roll out your positioning statement to make sure that everyone in your company is on the same page and buys in. I hope you enjoyed this video today on the book Get to Aha. If you did find it educational and useful, please subscribe to my channel, WhyBuyFromYou. It's focused on sales, marketing, and branding.